Oh, I hope we get a little rain. I thought I wouldn't say that again after all the flooding rains we've had recently, but today I'm going to do sort of a follow-up video as far as rotational deep bedding method versus the standard deep bedding method, and why a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people say their deep bedding method just doesn't work for them. I'll show you some quick points, an experiment that we're doing, and actually really good results. So here we go. Hey guys, so this is our massive chicken run. This is like, gosh, what is this thing? The 13 by 32, somewhere around there. And then we have this custom built coop, as I call it. I call this the run, I call that the coop. Some call it a hen house. And I've got 30 birds in here. Eventually what we're gonna do, this whole garden has 8 foot, or this is a massive 7,000 square foot vegetable garden, and it has 8 foot wire all the way around it. And eventually what we've done, I've bought enough hawk netting where I can actually, we put really tall 2x4s in the middle all the way across, and I can actually cover this whole thing with hawk netting because that's the only thing I have to worry about out here. And the girls will be able to free range all in this garden out here. That'll be kind of fun. So I'm not going to do that probably until I get back from, I'll take a fishing trip in September for a couple of weeks, but that's when I'll probably, we'll put that netting up. Hi guys, you using those little roosts that I built for you? You like those, don't you? Okay, so they're probably going to jump on me because I've been giving them all the extra cucumbers and yellow squash, and man, they just, oh my gosh, they just tear it up. It's like a gang fight in there. But I wanted to just show you real quick what I've done differently here that I have not seen anyone ever try this method or before. So this is our chicken coop, and it's big. That is from here to the sides is 8, so that's probably 9 feet at the top. I've used natural wood up here, and I've got a solar powered vent fan there. I've got night lights for them in here. I've got a fan that runs during the summertime. Pretty much, will you stop picking at my leg hairs? That's not what that is. Stop. Then I have a small UPC battery backup, and then I have a steel gear driven door. So this is almost impenetrable. And then the other day I built a chicken ladder to help them get up here because they were having to jump from stick to stick to stick. Now, the difference on the construction, watch out. The difference on the construction is this right here. These are basically deck boards, but there's a big gap in here. See that gap? And so what I do is I put down wheat straw, hemp, and large pine chips in here. Combination. Now, the first problem is as you can tell, my chickens, like a lot of your chickens, don't spend their time in here. They spend their time out in this run. They're up here in the morning, they come out, they're out, and they spend all day out in here. So they're not in here digging, and so I have to come out here every morning. I have a rake over here, and I basically turn this over. Well, when I turn that over, you can see down below, see how the shavings sort of drop out? So over time, and it takes a long time, I mean, that will stay like that for 2 weeks, even though I'm turning it every day. Stop picking at my legs. So then what I do is I take a rake, every few days I take a rake, the droppings go to raw earth. I take a rake and I put them in a pile over here. I just pull them out here. Now why is that beneficial? Because composting has to have moisture. It can't be dry to actually go through the composting process. It has to be exposed to microbes and good bacteria. It's not going to do that in there. It will pick up good bacteria from being on that soil. And here's what happens. If I come in here after, let's say, a week, and if I grab a handful of these clippings, you know, if you have chickens, what it's going to smell like. It's going to smell like ammonia. Well, if I come over here, you know what it smells like? It smells like dirt. It smells just like dirt, or it smells like a compost pile. And that's because it's been exposed to a little bit of moisture, not soaking wet. It's been exposed to the soil, the earth, good microbes, good fungus, everything that it takes to break down that ammonia, whatever you want to call it, whether you want to call it urea, whatever, but that's what it takes to come through here. And then once I rake it, they come over here and they'll actually dig through this too, because, you know, I might pick up a few bugs in here. So this, then I take, like this morning, and this actually is dark now. This actually turns dark. And I take a bucket of this, 2 or 3 buckets of this, and then I put it back on top here. So now I actually have a living sort of bedding material that when the poo drops down, that it actually has a way to actually start to decompose, and it does not smell like ammonia. I don't have that strong smell. The only smell I have, of course, is from the poo that's on these railings in here. So far, if you have a deep bedding method, a lot of times what will happen, especially as the temperatures cool, you'll get this muck down at the bottom of your chicken coop, and you dig down there and you're like, oh my gosh, and it's this nasty muck. Same thing with compost piles. If they get too dry, they stop working. If they get too wet, they stop working. They have to have oxygen, a small amount of moisture, and they have to have good bacteria in there to make that process work. Is that a stare down? Are you guys having a stare down? So anyways, that's really good process. Again, this was a hypothesis of mine. I wanted to test it out, and so far it's really doing well. And I will turn you into chicken biscuits if you don't stop picking my leg hairs. Stop. What else will I show you? That down over here, when I bring in cucumbers and squash and whatever, I always put them in the same place over here. And then I have a corner. Watch out, guys. I'm gonna break your feet. So this one, there's a rectangle down here that what I do is I dig it and I turn it over. And when I turn it over, they all dive in there, and it's a little nuts, but they'll actually pull earthworms. They love to come in here and get the earthworms out of here. But I'll take all these scraps. Let me show you something. Watch out, move, 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 move. Move, 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 move. Now this is from this morning. That's a cucumber. They absolutely love cucumbers. Cucumbers, squash. Oh, you dummies. Move, 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 move. Move, 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 move. They'll jump right in here. So let me get a foot. And they're so excited when they find a worm. Watch out. Gotta time it just right. And they're so impatient. Chickens are the most impatient things in the world. The other thing I do for them is I go on my clover field. You've probably seen it. I go out in my clover field and I just pick a whole big thing of clover and dump that over here. Man, they love to eat clover too. Really good results with this rotational deep bedding method. Again, you just have to apply the principles of composting and understand the science of what makes a good compost pile. You have to have oxygen, you have to have water. If you want an aerobic decomposition to use the presence of oxygen, you have to have a little bit of moisture, you have to have some oxygen, you have to be turning it, you have to have that carbon. But you have to, if it's barren of good bacteria, it's never going to have that good bacteria that helps go through that decomposition process. So letting it be on the ground actually does that. I'm actually shocked about this. When I grab this and smell it, it's amazing. It smells just like a dirt. It smells like a dirt compost. So there are some flaws to this deep bedding method, and I see a lot of people posting up about it, that they're doing the deep bedding method and they're like, whew, it just doesn't work for them. A fallacy is that chickens are inside their chicken coop or inside their hen house in there digging all the time, and my chickens are not doing that. They're outside, maybe just like yours. When that door goes up in the morning, they're out, and they don't go in till about 8:30 at night, and then they're up way up top. They don't spend their time. I may have 1 or 2 chickens that spend some time in there, but the rest of them are outside digging and going around their pen. They are not inside that house digging, and that's, you have to get in there and turn it manually, number one. Number two, you're really not creating a composting. In other words, there really isn't that aerobic activity because it lacks moisture, it lacks good microbes. It really doesn't take on that composting per se. You are making good composting material that can go into a compost pile, but because we're doing this rotational where it's dropping onto the ground, it actually is picking up microbes. Remember, in a teaspoon of soil, there are more soil microbes than there are people on Earth. Got that? So when that falls down to the earth and sits there for 3 or 4 days, and then you rake it up into a pile, you basically are creating a compost pile off to the side. Let that sit there for a few days and then return it back on top, and all of a sudden your chicken coop comes alive and is actually working on that smell. So anyways, it's just food for thought. It's a great experiment. I'm having fantastic luck with it. The problem is that I would say almost all chicken coops out there, or hen houses out there, have a solid floor, and that just doesn't work with this method. So maybe we'll change a little bit of how the industry does this and take a little bit different look at it, because the way we're doing it up here is the first time I've ever seen this done. I don't know if anyone else is doing it, that rotational method. So anyways, fun experiment. Talk to you later. Doc.